Good morning, students. Welcome again for the session. So, we have already started our chapter, the Constitution. So, today we are studying the part 5 of the Constitution. So, Constitution, today we will study about the rights in the Constitution. How many rights are there and what are the rights or what are the Bill of Rights? So, students, moving ahead, now I will tell you the definition about the rights. What are the rights? Rights are the privileges granted, protected, and secured by the Constitution. Students, there are some six fundamental rights. Our constitutions make us were aware of that the basic structure should not be violated or be taken by the government. So it has enshrined and make the legal provision also, so no one can violate these rights. So rights are protected, secured by the Constitution. Then next comes students, what are the Bill of Rights? Bill of Rights is just like a same as we have talked about the rights. What are the Bill of Rights? Actually, it is a list of rights that is called the Bill of Rights. It is a list of rights. What are the Bill of Rights? It is a list of rights prepared and protected by the Constitution. So, what are rights? These are also protected. And what are the bills of rights? These are the list in which these fundamental rights are written. So, students, the word fundamental suggests that these rights are so important that the Constitution has separately listed for their protection. So, these rights are, as earlier I have told you, these are listed them and made some special provisions so that no one can violate these rights. Students, ordinary rights may be changed by the legislature by ordinary process of lawmaking, but a fundamental right may only be changed by amending the constitution itself. In ordinary laws, you can make the changes, but in the fundamental rights, in the constitution, you have to make some the basic structure you can't violate. You can't amend these fundamental rights. So students, moving ahead, as earlier we have read that we are having the articles, parts, schedules in our constitution. So these fundamental rights are framed in the constitution and these are kept in the part 3. Part 3 is of fundamental rights. As earlier classes also you have studied that we have six fundamental rights. These fundamental rights are right to equality, which is framed in Article 14 to 18. Then right to freedom, Article 19 to 22. Right against exploitation, 23 to 24. Right to freedom of religion, 25 to 28. Cultural and educational rights, 29 to 31. Then the last one is the right to constitutional remedies from 32 to 35. So students, these are the six fundamental rights. This is forming the basic structure of the constitution related to the human beings or its citizens. No one can violate, or even the governments can't take these rights from the citizens. So one by one, we will be looking at these rights, what these rights are. So first one is the right to equality. Right to equality. It gives us the equality before the law, whether the rich or poor, whether it belongs to any ethnic group, any language, region, caste, creed, race, all are equal in front of the eyes of the constitution or the judiciary. So, being promoting the equality, no one can discriminate in the society on grounds of religion, race, caste, sex, or gender. Equal access to shops, anyone can build its shops, hotels, even can use wells, tanks, and use bathing ghats, roads, etc. It gives us the equality that we can access all these public places. Equality of opportunity in public employment. Everyone can seek the jobs in public domain, and there is a provision of to bring the equality, abolition of untouchability. We can't use the practice of untouchability. If anybody is found doing the practice of untouchability, it is an offensible crime. Rupees 500 fine is there, and 6 months detention is there. Then abolition of titles. Earlier in the British rule, titles were given. To bring the equality in the society, constitution makers had abolished all the titles. Just they had preferred the titles which are just given in military services or the academic services. All the beside these two, all the titles have been abolished. So, students, this was our right to equality, which is from Article 14 to 18. Then, moving ahead, students, right to freedom. We are having lot of freedoms, but these freedom come with some constraints. We can't cross our limits where the other boundary starts. We have to stop before that boundary. We can't cross our limits. So we are having lot of freedoms according to the constitution, which those freedoms are protection of right to freedom of speech and expression, but we have to think before what we are speaking to others. We can express ourselves. We can assemble peacefully. We can, if we are not happy with the government policies, we can start our movements, but in a peaceful manner. We can form associations, unions, and also move freely throughout the territory of India. We can visit any state. We don't want any type of visa there. Domestically, we can move from one place to the another place, or we can reside also and settle in any part of India. Practice any profession, we can start our own business, or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. We can start our occupation or our business also. Protection in respect of conviction for offences. If a police is coming to us to arrest us, first of all, the police had to show the arrest warrant. And after 24 hours, we have to be take to the magistrate in 24 hours, and magistrate note it is a part of the police, it is the part of the judiciary. He will decide, magistrate, he or she will decide whether we have made any crime or not. Then right to life and personal liberty. Then right to education. Protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. If a person is threat to a nation and extended, its punishment or detention is extended up to 3 months. If a person is a threat to the nation, it comes under the protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. So, student, these were the freedoms that I have talked. And moving ahead, Right against exploitation. Right against exploitation comes in the Article 23 to 24. First one is prohibition of trafficking in human beings and forced labor. Students, we can't buy or sell human beings. This is known as a trafficking in human beings. And we can't force another people to do the beggar. If we had committed a laborer a certain amount for a day, we have to give. If we are not giving, we are making its exploitation. Prohibition of employment of children in hazardous jobs. We can't put the children into the hazardous activities or the industries which affect their health. We, we have to see the age of the children. It must be above the 14 years. If it is below the 14 years and you are indulging him or her in hazardous activities, you will be punished. Then moving ahead, students, right to freedom of religion. You know, India is a diverse country. We are having different religions in the country. We have Hindus, Muslims, Jains, Buddhists, Christians, and so on. So, in a diverse country, and in our preamble also that we have read, that India is a secular state. India does not have its own religion. It is not making any partiality between the religions. People have the freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, and free profession, practice and propagate. आप किसी भी धर्म को अपना सकते हैं, उसका प्रचार कर सकते हैं. फ्रीडम टू मैनेज रिलीजियस अफेयर्स. आप कोई भी कल्चरल अपनी एक्टिविटीज जो हैं या अपने त्योहार जो है वो मना सकते हैं. फ्रीडम टू पे टैक्सेस फॉर प्रमोशन ऑफ एनी पर्टिकुलर रिलीजन. Freedom to attend religion instruction or worship in certain educational institutions. Even you can build your own institutions also. So, student, this was the right to freedom of religion. We can preach, propagate, and profess any religion. Then comes the cultural and educational rights. In this, our constitution gives the protection to minorities, especially their languages, their culture. They can maintain their language, they can maintain their culture. Rights of minorities to establish educational institutions. Even these minorities can establish their own educational institutes. So, further moving ahead, students, right to constitutional remedies. It is the most important right. Till now, whatever rights we have studied, all rights are saved or secured or protected by the right to constitutional remedies. If a government or an individual tries to violate our rights, we can seek the help of the judiciary. We can take help of the right of constitutional remedies. So, from Article 30 to 35, right to constitutional remedies are given. In Article 32, right to move the courts to issue directions, orders, writs for enforcement of rights. So, in the constitutional remedies, Constitution gives the orders to our judiciary, our Supreme Court, to our high courts to save us from the violation of our rights. So, students, right to constitutional remedies is also known as the watchdog of the Constitution. Is known as the watchdog of the Constitution, and by the B.R. Ambedkar, Bhimrao Ambedkar, The chairman who have drafted our constitution, he has said that right to constitutional remedies is the soul of the constitution. It is the soul of the constitution. Other rights are saved with the right to constitutional remedies. So, as I have told you, that Dr. Ambedkar considered the right to constitutional remedies as heart and soul of the constitution. It is so because this right gives a citizen the right to approach in High Court or the Supreme Court, as earlier I have told you, to get any of the fundamental rights resorted in case of their violation. The Supreme Court and the High Courts can issue orders and give directives to the government for the enforcement of the rights. So, students, till now we have studied our rights, six fundamental rights are given. So, students, this is our fifth part that we are continuing. Again, one more session we will take to complete this rights. So, students, today that we have studied is that what are the rights? The rights are the claims over the society which are given by the Constitution. Constitution protects, secure our rights. And what are the Bill of Rights? Bill of Rights, it is the list of the rights in which lists rights are given which are protected by the Constitution as secured by the Constitution. Then further we have seen we are having the six fundamental rights: right to equality from Article 14 to 18, right to freedom Article 19 to 20, 22, right against exploitation 23 to 24, right to freedom of religion from 25 to 28, cultural and educational rights 29 to 31, then right to constitutional remedies from 32 to 35. So student, for today this much only. Try to read your first chapter because the CBSE has merged the four chapters in this constitution: why and how, philosophy of the constitution, the rights and the directive principles. So it becomes a big chapter because four chapters are included in first. So you have to be take care and try to read these chapters. Thank you and have a nice day.